Today I fucked up by telling my pregnant Catholic wife that I don't want to force our child into Catholicism. This happened minutes ago, as I sit in the bedroom with my tail between my legs. My wife and I have been happily married for 2.5 years, together for almost 5. I am agnostic, believe in a God, higher power, don't necessarily believe in any religion, but also don't discredit any religion. She was raised Catholic by both parents. I apologize in advance if anyone finds these coming words insulting. That is not my intention. I would say she's not one that eats, breathes, and sleeps her religion. She stands strongly by her faith but allows room for her own thinking, e.g. pro-birth control, premarital sex, the possibility of life outside Earth, stuff like that. We almost never talk about religion because we respect each other's beliefs and that's that. Therefore, it's never been a point of contention. However, she's 3 months pregnant, which is bringing up the religion conversations. I'm referring to the baby as it, because we don't know the sex yet. I'm taking our child to Mass, getting it baptized, it's going to Catholic school, I'm raising it Catholic, etc. Are things that she said so far. I generally have a meh, whatever attitude toward these things because it's not my realm of expertise. But lately it's been bothering me more and more. Again, I don't have a problem with religion, but to force one upon a child seems like abuse and selfishness to me. I do love the guidance it provides people, but it's not for everyone. Today during dinner, she brought up how she wants to get a children's Bible and read it to our baby child each night. In response, I said I'd also like to read something like a children's book of all religions, so it gets a chance to expand its horizons and think for itself. A bit of mommy's beliefs and a bit of daddy's mindset. That couldn't be harmful, right? I'd like for our child to make its own decision at some point on which religion it would like to follow. Nope. All hell broke loose. I did my best by using a die as an example. I put the die in my hand and covered all sides except for the number 1. I said, this is what you want for our child. You want to show it this one side, but it doesn't know that the other sides exist. Through life experiences they'll learn of the other 5 numbers, but it's now become so partial to the number 1 that it doesn't care what the other numbers have to offer. All I want to do is expose our child to all 6 sides, and let it pick its favorite number. Nope, not happening. The child will be raised Catholic until it's a teenager and can make its own decision on religion, faith. I wish I were never pregnant. Don't talk to me about religion again, ever. Thanks for reading, listening. I feel so trapped and helpless regarding my child's development. As an agnostic, it really feels like shit being looked down upon and not taken seriously by someone, especially my wife, that has comfort in their belief system. Apparently I can't talk to my wife about it, so, here we are, venting to a bunch of strangers. Apologies for any spelling and formatting errors. Too long did not read. Wife has endless ideas of instilling Catholicism into our child. But how dare I, agnostic, teach it about other religions simultaneously. Edit. Formatting. Edit for update. You guys are awesome and provided some great insight on my situation. I'd love to respond and thank each of you individually, but she's been in close proximity since shortly after the post. If she saw this I'd be writing another today I fucked up tomorrow and most likely be single. I wrote her a letter better explaining myself and my intentions for our child. It basically went over the respective beliefs and how we're both going to give our child a part of ourselves in that aspect. I've agreed to do the Catholic thing and she's agreed that I expose it to the array of other religions. She's also agreed that once it's a teen, it has all the power to decide to continue following that faith or find its own. Apparently that a standard didn't know. What I later learned that made her extremely upset is she interpreted it as I wanted our child to worship a being other than God, which is not true. She found peace in and reliance on religion growing up due to circumstances during her childhood life that I'd rather not share. It's given me a clearer picture as to why it adheres so strongly to her core. Again, thank you all unconditionally. Lesson has been learned, and to anyone else reading that's not married yet, definitely fire up that conversation. It's worth it. I mean, you are agnostic and she is Catholic. Surprised you guys didn't talk about this before children. This convo was always gonna happen. From what I can tell, Catholic school is just as likely to be a path to atheism. I'm currently agnostic but was raised Catholic. Catholics marrying non-Catholics is kind of a slippery slope for them, but they can do so long as the non-Catholic partner agrees to raise them Catholic. Although I'm sure that was touched on if you did the Catholic marriage prep. So in her eyes she would be committing a mortal sin to not raise the kid Catholic. I would just try to gently reason with her over time. Or just let her do what she wants, but just have dad and kid bonding time where you talk about other religions and what have you. The situation sucks, but I'm honestly astounded you guys didn't discuss this beforehand. So she's Catholic, but breaks the rules when it's convenient for her. Catholic guilt is an evil fucking thing to teach a child. I agree with you here. I also feel like this is the type of conversation that should have been had prior to marriage. Religious beliefs, especially when it comes to raising a child, are important to agree on before marriage. Today I fucked up by missing obvious signs from a girl at a bar. Too long did not read. Grabbed a tit, missed a clear sign from a girl. Obligatory. This wasn't today, it was last night. I was at the bar with a bunch of my high school friends who live out of town. When we got to the bar, we met these 3 people in line who I immediately became friends with. 1 guy and 2 girls. One of the girls specifically I hit it off with super well. When we finally got into the bar, I lost them because I went with my friends. Eventually they found me and she said to me, "Op, I missed you." Then we went to get a drink and I admittedly got pretty fucked up. I don't go out a lot, so when I do I go for it. So I am drinking and talking, with her and my friends. When I go back for the 3rd, 4th time, she starts getting really feely with me. She was rubbing everyone except the nether regions. And I am not talking a simple pat. She had her hands all up in my personal space. I didn't mind, she was extremely attractive. This went on for a solid few minutes until she asked me, "Hey op, grab my boob." And I said, "Right here in public?" To which she responded, "Fuck yay." So I did, a small grasp of said boob, and she responded, "No op, grab it like you mean it." So I did. I grasped that shit. You know the episode of SpongeBob where Squidward firmly grasps the pole? That was me. If I remember correctly, she whispered in my ear that she liked that. Anyways, this was a first for me. Super odd experience. I then say we planned on heading out soon, and she asked where we were going. I didn't know, so I asked where she was going next. She responded, "Wherever you are," and grabbed my face. All I could muster up was, "Oh okay cool, see ya." And then I walked her out. She grabbed my hand and said she had a lot of fun with me, and there she went. And thus, the Virgin Chronicles continue. Edit. People are asking me to text her and ask to take her out. The one problem is, she lives in Canada and I very much do not. Got the friend's number though cause he was very chill and moving here soon, so there is hope indeed. Not much, but some. Buddy was standing on the main runway at O'Hare International Airport and still couldn't find any planes. By obvious signs I thought you were going to say something like, "She touched your shoulder," or smiled at you. This woman straight up demanded sex from you. Ha ha ha. This was not a swing and a miss. She walked your ass all the way around the bases and you still didn't score. F. Holy shit, I burst out laughing at the thought of her grabbing your face passionately and you just being like, "K bye," obliviously. This is some absurd lack of awareness, my dude. I was gonna write a long thought-out comment on why women should be straight up with men cause we don't do hints or signals well, but she basically demanded sex from you, so that comment idea went out the window lol. This hurts my soul. Today I fucked up by going on a date with a sovereign citizen as an attorney. This actually happened last week, and I originally posted it on the r/lawyers private subreddit. Before realizing it might entertain you guys, too. So, here you go. This is just a rant. I decided to dip my toe in the dating world recently after an extended hiatus. I've been focusing on establishing myself as a lawyer for the last 9-10 months and working an incredible number of hours to that end. I downloaded the Hinge app over the weekend and got the ball rolling by swiping left and right on profiles depending on if they seemed like they'd be a potential romantic partner. Yesterday, I got a match with a woman whose photos looked good, answers to random questions on her profile sounded rational and interesting, and overall seemed like a real possibility. We started chatting, and as it turned out she's a fairly successful local singer with a small record contract. I had never heard of her, but I was very impressed with the songs she sang. She posted several to her SoundCloud account. And after a short discussion on the Hinge app that moved to text fairly quickly, we decided to go out for seafood last night. I figured I would strike while the iron was hot. Things were going well. She was really cute and the conversation was good, before it somehow drifted off to my occupation. That's when the craziness began. She started asking truly bizarre, off-the-wall questions. Such as, what's the name of the contract that police are trying to form with you when they give you a traffic ticket? I asked if she meant a summons and she said something along the lines of, no, the part at the end, when they ask you if you understand. Because I was told that the proper response to that question is, I do not stand under you. They are trying to sneakily create a contract when they ask you that question. I was a little confused by this and began to dig deeper. I briefly explained the citation itself, as well as the fact that signing it wasn't an acknowledgement of guilt but it did create an agreement that you would show up for your court date, but then she asked how a private police force could even enforce your appearance. Opening parenthesis question mark exclamation mark question mark exclamation mark closing parenthesis. At that point I started to have a vague inkling of what was going on. I probed a little further and found that apparently, the United States is a corporation, police forces are all privatized, and a lot of other random shit. Then she recommended I read a book that would change my life, named The Creature from Jekyll Island, which is basically just the ramblings of some guy who thinks that the Federal Reserve starts all of the world wars and there's a vast conspiracy to blah blah blah. So yeah, I totally started thinking of how I could leave as soon as possible. Except that I'd just gotten her started, so the next 30 minutes was spent discussing things like how gold fringe on a United States flag in a courtroom doesn't prove that said court is really an admiralty court that can't legally pass judgment on sovereign citizens, etc. The meal itself was pretty good. Blackened red snapper, char-grilled oysters, I'm in Louisiana, etc. I paid for everything, left a 25% tip, and I told her I had a very interesting time and I hope that she made it home safe and sound. I don't think I'm ever going to reach out to her again. There was a time when I would have ignored all the red flags and pursued something based on attractiveness alone, but I guess I've grown out of that now that I'm in my mid to late 30s. Now I don't want to deal with people who are obviously batshit insane, regardless of how good they might look appearance-wise. Edit. Whoa, I just found the full details of what she meant by, I do not stand under you, on legal advice of all places. It's as crazy as it sounds. There are some real loonies out there. Edit 2. Looks like the court decided a guy who tried using it in his defense wasn't mentally competent to proceed pro se. U.S. versus Ransom. Defendant stated, I do not understand anything. I do not stand under you. I overstand you. Prove the cause of action. Accordingly, the court denied defendant's right to proceed pro se, denied standby counsel's motion to withdraw, and appointed standby counsel as defendant's trial counsel. Edit 3. Well, I did a deep dive and found a manifesto on exactly what they think you are supposed to do in the legal system. If a policeman ever says to you, do you understand? What he actually means is, do you stand under me in this matter? So your answer should be, no. I do not stand under you in this matter. Also, if you are not confident in speaking to the police, have a written card in your pocket which states, I do not answer questions. I do not wish to contract with you. Edit 4, last one, I promise. I just remembered she was trying to explain the issue with courtesy titles, i.e. Mr., Ms., Mrs., etc. But couldn't verbalize the problem, just that there was some problem with their usage. When I was reading the joinder section on that last link, I noticed, you are never a MS, Mrs., Miss or Mr., so change your way of thinking and look out for these everywhere. Turns out this refers to strawman theory, which apparently means that your natural person is different than the legal strawman entity the government is trying to turn you into, or something. Too long did not read. I thought my date was a normal person, but it turned out that she believed in crazy conspiracy theories. The best line in this whole thing was, the meal itself was pretty good. Blackened red snapper etc. The most bro line I have ever read in one of these. Don't worry, we all get presented with crazy once in a while. For me, I was getting tattooed by a guy who started talking to me about how the reptilians control the shadow governments in order to foster human misery which the reptilians feed on. This guy literally had needles inside my body. You sure you weren't using the Unhinged app? License and registration? I demand audience with the king. They really think that language, law, and contracts are magic. That if the police can just trick you into saying the magic word, it's like they've learned your true name, and now have power over you. And that if you just avoid saying the magic words, the cops and the courts will just be like, "Ah shucks, we were outsmarted again. Guess we have to let you go." It's like they believe the US government is already incredibly authoritarian but at the same time magically restrained by contract and consent. Like they don't understand that a real authoritarian government doesn't give a fuck about your consent or rights and will just do whatever it wants regardless. Somehow you going on a tangent about how good the food was really punctuates how bad the date was. Wow. These people have never met a lawyer or a policeman or WTV in their life. It is like the COVID conspiracy theorist who says the hospital in my country were empty and it was all a lie. Bro, I worked in the hospital along with 20,000 other people in the city. How could we all be involved in the conspiracy? These people have never met a health worker in their lives. Today I fucked up by asking my girlfriend to cook dinner. Okay, this is more of a, we fucked up, but I have to share this. If she sees this, I'm a dead man. I, 29, work as a cook, and I have since I graduated high school. My live-in girlfriend, 27, has repeatedly told me she's a train wreck in the kitchen, so on Saturdays, we bond by cooking together over a gas stove while I give her tips. These are important for later. Anyway, I don't normally work Saturday, but we were catering, so all hands on deck was called and I worked till 8, and so I called before my shift. We talked about dinner. We decided on spaghetti and she was insistent on making it herself to make me happy. I love spaghetti and damn it I love her. Sounds wonderful. I'll be home at X. This was where I fucked up. I come home to our apartment after work and my girlfriend is curled up on the couch. There's a pan of black stuff in water on the stove and a burnt smell in the air. Of course, I ask what's wrong and she said, I fucked up. Me. What happened? Was there a fire? Her. Yeah. I was cooking and there was a fire. What? Are you okay? What happened? The spaghetti caught fire. It took me a few seconds to process that, and after maybe 10 minutes of back and forth, I learned what happened. She made the sauce, put it off to the side, and proceeded to boil the noodles in the same frying pan. The frying pan. Over the open flames. In short, she wanted to use the saucy water to cook the noodles, which is a good idea. Instead, she put water in the frying pan and put the spaghetti noodles in like a wick on an incense plate. The flames caught the noodles, and it probably lit up like a birthday cake. She literally made something that was boiling in water, burst into flame. She wound up quoting that Simpsons meme of Homer lighting cereal on fire, and I broke down laughing. Somehow in all this time, a bit over 2 years, we never went over why sauce pots and frying pans are for different things. Also, in 27 years of life, she didn't learn about why sauce pots are so tall. After maybe a bit too long of busting my lungs laughing, we hugged. She called me a dick for laughing, which just made me laugh harder. We made up, cleaned up the mess, had a nice dinner. She kicked my ass in Soul Calibur. Maybe a bit too cathartically? And all is well now. But I guarantee you all I won't ever let her live this down. Too long did not read. I thought I taught my girlfriend enough about cooking, but she wound up setting fire to boiling noodles. This was adorable. Thank you for sharing. Dude, my sister did something similar when we were kids. She wanted spaghetti, but she put the noodles in a small pot with half the noodles hanging out. Like you, we had a gas stove and she turned the flame to high. Well, the flame spread around the pot. The heat went up the side. Her noodles became a torch for Indiana Jones. 30 years later and I won't let her live that down. We have a good laugh about it now. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This was the laugh I so desperately needed tonight. She's not the only one messing things up in the kitchen. My boyfriend always complains about something smelling burnt. And I always cut my fingers while cleaning the nicer dicer. I'm glad you two had a wholesome ending. Your relationship sounds lit. That isn't smoke, it's steam. Steam from the steamed clams we're having. Steamed clams.